the new Anaconda should have been better than what it actually was. Directed by Tom Gormican, whose directing output is mixed between the awkward That Awkward Moment and the respectably humorous The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, the new Anaconda presented a fantastic premise, one that was ripe with meta-commentary and comedic potential worthy of cinematic spelunking. But unfortunately, the movie ultimately failed to deliver the goods. In fact, it's an often criminally unfunny comedy, which is just the worst type of bad movie. If anything, the new Anaconda expects its premise alone to do all of the heavy lifting, which the film just can't do, even with the inherent strength of the aforementioned premise. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. To sum up the new Anaconda's said premise, Jack Black's Doug McAllister and Paul Rudd's Ronald Griffin Jr. are longtime childhood friends who had aspirations of hitting it big in Hollywood, but unfortunately had to settle for missing it badly, and thus now middle-aged, the two have a midlife crisis, no relation. And amidst this terror of becoming old and still underachieving with their lives, hey, fuck you too, movie, you didn't have to adapt my life here as well, Ronald acquires the rights to the movie Anaconda. You know, the series of schlocky creature feature horror films from the 90s and aughts featuring a gigantic man-devouring serpent.
Phrasing.
Ronald's rationale for this purchase is that he and Doug were fans of the original movie and believed they could finally actualize the film they had always dreamt of creating together as kids, because once again, after writing a script, casting some childhood acting friends, and securing minimal funds, the group traveled to a South American jungle to shoot the film guerrilla style. But unfortunately, after their living snake dies horrifically, Doug, Ronald, and the rest of the cast and crew decide to venture further into the jungle in order to find another large anaconda for their film, in which they unfortunately find an actual supermassive anaconda. You know, like in the movie Anaconda. Chaos then ensues as our lovely heroes try to escape with their lives, which is what understandably happens when attacked by a giant snake.
Phrasing.
As I said at the start, the new Anaconda should have been a fun watch, especially given its cast. Even beyond Jack Black and this ageless vampire, the movie features funny people like Thandaway Newton, Steve Zahn, and even a brief stint of Ice Cube, who has a history of being funny in movies.
How you doing, Mr. Nice Plan? Get your fucking ass in there.
But unfortunately, Anaconda just isn't funny. My theater, which had a few people in it, was dead silent for a lot of the film, seeing as most of the jokes landed with an unceremonious thud. In fact, a lot of the comedy in the film is centered around the movie's premise that this Anaconda reboot is about two chucklefucks rebooting Anaconda before they're actually attacked by a ginormous anaconda, which once again, really good premise, but that alone can't sustain a whole feature-length movie, even one just shy of 100 minutes. And Anaconda just unfortunately doesn't do much else but remind the audience of its premise or really basic meta-commentary regarding the film industry and its obsession with IP, which honestly has been done better and with more insight in movies and TV shows in recent history. Making matters worse, a lot of the moments that were actually funny in the new Anaconda were spoiled by the trailer, and in the trailer were honestly timed and edited in superior fashion when compared to the actual movie. Like, you know the sequence where the cast and crew believe that Jack Black is dead, and so they strap a boar to his back in order to sacrifice him to the anaconda as a snake snack, but then Jack Black turns out to be alive and then runs away from the anaconda? Well, the audio choices in the movie absolutely kill the humor in that scene, which by all accounts should have been hilarious. It should have been a standout moment, but it just isn't as funny as it should be, and just isn't as funny as what is presented by the trailer, so that's another problem as well. Regardless, the new Anaconda is a major disappointment. Its paltry attempts to be funny ensures that the audience can't really invest in this film's characters or plot, or even care about its most basic meta-commentary on Hollywood. While sure there are sparse chuckles here and there, and the film contains a fairly decent twist, these positives just can't save a comedy severely lacking in wit. It can't salvage a comedy that inspires groans more so than laughter. It can't redeem a very promising premise that ultimately underachieved on that promise. Shit, now we're talking about my life again.